On Thursday, highs will be cooler, right around the low 80s and in the 70s on Friday. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Weather is brought to you by OG&E Weatherization Program for Arkansas customers with homes at least 10 years old. Call 1-800-272-9741 for details or log on at OGE.com.
Radio station.
KERX, Paris Fort Smith, from the Bush and Bushlight Studios. This is ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
HitThatLine.com.
.com.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Phil, you're one of the best baseball announcers in the country, and Ty, you're one of the best up-and-coming young talents in the broadcasting industry. You really do your homework.
See ya, D-Mac! Hold on, man, Ryan! D-Mac not looking back. Touchdown!
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like
it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on. It's almost halftime.
Halftime on a Wednesday means it's halfway through the week. We're getting over the hump. That's exactly right. Usually at 1 o'clock in about an hour, I would be crumpling up a box score from last week's game. I guess I could still do that. I could. Why not? 31-27 loss to Texas A&M, but no opponent to worry about and plan for this Saturday, as Arkansas is getting their second bye of their first of two byes for the season. I guess I've already given them another one for some reason. And are one of, 6 of 14 SEC teams get a bye week. So what do you do during a bye week? I guess you practice, right? And, I guess during a bye week, there are differentiating ways to prepare for the next opponent. I found it interesting that the San Jose head coach, what was his name? Bruce Barnett said in the extra week leading in to their visit to Fayetteville that they probably angered their Spartan players by not giving them a lot of time off or time to rest during their bye week, which did lead into their upset win at Reynolds Razorback Stadium, that they fully prepared that team for 2 weeks mentally, emotionally, and schematically for the ball game. And maybe that played out at Reynolds Razorback Stadium a couple of weeks ago, or about a week and a half ago. And so now if you're Arkansas and you're also Kentucky, you get that extra week to prepare for a team that, well, in this case, has the same opportunity that you get to rest some players, rest some of the injured, rest some of the veterans who might be used to getting a little more time off, potentially. And maybe Kentucky, more than any other team in the SEC, has been beset by injuries, especially at the most important position of quarterback, where the Wildcats are totally unaware or unsure of who they're going to start for that game in a couple of weeks at Kroger Field. For Arkansas, it looks like it'll still be Nick Starkel. Phil Elson here, Ty Richardson back in the ESPN Arkansas studios. Get with us today, 877-377-6963 for the Cherokee Casino hotline. Ty, I know you get a little worried when your starting quarterback can't feel his arm after taking a big hit. Admittedly, it wasn't the throwing arm that kept Starkel on the sidelines for most of the Southwest Classic. But they said he couldn't feel his left arm very much, and that's why he couldn't come back in. But he was taking first-team reps yesterday. So it's again, Chad Morris said he's going to still be the starter for the foreseeable future, a quarterback for Arkansas. And of course, you feel better about Ben Hicks as a backup now and the ability to come off the bench. But it does appear that with Starkel leading the first team at practice yesterday, that there is no quarterback controversy, and there's no worry as to Starkel's condition. So he looks like he'd be ready to go if he had to play on Saturday.
Starkel fumbled one of the snaps from Shane Clinton. Ty Clary was not on the field during their open viewing yesterday where the media got to view that. That's one of the notes that Scotty Bordelon wrote for the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. And I think that the fact that it was quoted he couldn't grip a football with his left hand on Saturday, Phil. So this is kind of a drastic change, I think, from a guy that really couldn't hold on the football. I know there's the idea out there was throwing it right-handed. He doesn't really need his left. Well, you kind of do when you're taking the snap and doing a lot of things. So you think you use your left arm a lot more than you think you would playing the quarterback position. So you need both of them. And I think that he's not the type of guy that would just kind of wuss out or anything like that. But when you can't really feel or grip anything with your arm, that would definitely lead you to it. But I'm surprised, I don't know about you, Phil, that the guy was back in there on Monday. I think that shows that he's ready to get back out there. He's ready to grind for Kentucky, and then we'll see what happens with the competition this week, because I think Chad Morris and Joe Craddock have a dilemma on their hands based solely on what Ben Hicks did on Saturday. Like, if you're in a situation where Nick Starkel is not fully healthy heading into that game, are you a little back and forth, Phil, with the idea of which quarterback you're going with? I know that people think Starkel's more talented, but Ben Hicks showed you something on Saturday against Texas A&M.
What about the thought, like, if Starkel starts a game cold, or has a first half like Hicks had at Ole Miss, where Nick was installed as the starter for the second half of that game and has started the 3 games since. Yeah, I think it does put the thought in the back of your mind, not just about injury, but potentially ineffectiveness. If Starkel continues to throw interceptions inside the red zone, and the red zone more than anything has been Arkansas's bugaboo offensively, maybe the coaches feel a little bit better about the opportunity to make a change. Though you would have thought that Starkel would have had some time to rest that arm, no matter what, just because of the idea that you're not prepping for an opponent that you're playing this Saturday, and a lot of other first-teamers are getting the same sort of treatment. I mean, when was the last time that Colton Jackson and Austin Capps practiced for an entire week? And they were not on the field during the media's opportunity to watch practice yesterday. Jackson and Capps have been dealing with leg injuries, and, of course, Colton Jackson did miss the San Jose State game, dealing with concussion issues. And it isn't even just guys on the offensive line who are starting on Saturdays that aren't practicing very much during the week. And this week it makes a lot of sense to give the guys who are toting the rock and taking the bulk of the hits from larger defenders to get some time off. So Rakeem Boyd wore a green no-contact jersey. Devois Whaley was held out of practice. And for Boyd, he did leave last Saturday's game with what I saw described as a mild shoulder injury. He did return and carry it a few times after that, but, I mean, it was the shoulder injury that caused him so much pain last year, and got it fixed when the season concluded. So I guess you do worry a little bit if you do read about a shoulder with Boyd being the reason that he did have to take a few games off. Plus, he's been so effective when he's been out there. That's a guy that Arkansas really, I don't know if he'd be able to replace. I mean, you're out Chase Hayden. Hayden missing last game. No word on whether or not he's going to return for Kentucky. But, again, you're a week and a half away from that. You got to get Boyd out there. So right now, I mean, makes a lot of sense to give him some time to rest, along with some of your other starters, and that looks like it's the case offensively. Trey Knox wasn't there. And so, boy, there's another one that you never want to see with the injury issue right now, but that's the hip that kept Knox out of the game against Texas A&M, kept him off the practice field yesterday too.
You got a brutal stretch coming up, so this bye week comes at a good time. I wouldn't call Kentucky exactly a daunting opponent, but when you get into Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, I mean, that's a stretch that no one in college football would have to run up against, especially the Auburn-Alabama back-to-back, the way Bo Nix and Auburn have been playing. It's going to be tough, and I know that 2 of those 4 games are on the road, 2 of those 4 games are in Fayetteville, so at least you get it back and forth, but this is going to be where you get into the big, thick stretch of the SEC schedule, Phil, and this is huge for them to stay healthy the rest of the way, to get a little healthier. I know that Kentucky's dealing with kind of the same problem with Sawyer Smith in their quarterback position, already losing Terry Wilson out for the season. So the Wildcats are also looking forward to this bye week, as I assume a lot of other coaches in college football that are, because you need this. Your guys get banged up a little bit. Arkansas's lost a couple of guys. I mean, you mentioned this on Monday. How different would that outcome have been if Trey Knox was in the football game? Because we saw what Traylon Burks was able to do against that defense, and Ben Hicks and Starkel finding him, more Ben Hicks than anything. How much better would the offensive looked if they had another guy in Trey Knox running those routes and whatnot? So something to think about, but you hope these guys can get healthy, because Arkansas needs all the help they can get in the health department when it comes to closing out the season, Phil.
Halftime brought to you by our friends at Breeden RV in Van Buren. Great camping weather is just around the corner, and Breeden RV is having their year-end clearance sale right now. Got great deals on new RVs, travel trailers that start at $99.95, and fifth wheels that start under $30,000. Breeden RV is the only dealer that gives new customers maintenance for life for free. Breeden RV also has a great selection of pre-camp trailers and RVs to choose from, and now is the time to let Breeden RV in Van Buren show you how easy it can be. It's home of the maintenance for life. It's Breeden RV in Van Buren. Start a new adventure today. We've got our friend Clay Henry from Hogs Illustrated joining us after the break. Appreciate you tuning in on Wednesday on Halftime. Be right back on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
Missed a segment or interview? Check out the Halftime Pod at hitthatline.com. This is the Morning Rush.
John, I love your passion, but I don't know what you're drinking this morning. Get rid of it. Tommy, drug test this guy. I don't know if that's a policy at the radio station.
It's going to become one.
But legitimately, there's got to be some psychiatric help that will reach out to you, John, and provide it as a service for some free advertising for the radio station.
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3.
Great camping weather is just around the corner, so at Breeden RV in Van Buren, we're having our year-end clearance sale right now. Get great deals on new RVs like travel trailers that start at $99.95 and fifth wheels starting under $30,000. Breeden RV is the only dealer that gives our new customers maintenance for life for free. We also have a great selection of pre-camp trailers and RVs to choose from. Now is the time to camp, and now is the time to let Breeden RV in Van Buren show you just how easy it can be. Breeden RV, your home for maintenance for life.
Oh, that's an RV.
I'm Lisa Hinton, owner of Champ Hinton Enterprises. For nearly 50 years, the Champ Hinton name has stood for one thing: selling quality cars in a different way, taking the mumbo jumbo out of the process and making customers happy. All these years and tens of thousands of cars later, we're still here, doing business the way Champ Hinton taught us, selling to generations of families who've become part of our family. Champ Hinton Enterprises, the area's premier used car dealer. Take the Arcoma exit off I-540 or go online at champhinton.com.
Spring is in the air. Not in the house, Dalton. It's okay, AJ. Aw, snap, I told you not in the house. Red Kool-Aid all over the white carpet. Mom and Dad are gonna... It's okay, AJ. I can't believe it. We're so in trouble. I told you so.
Thank you for calling Service Master Clean. This is Tanya. How can I help you?
Tanya, it's Dalton. For the clean you expect and the service you deserve. Think Service Master Clean. Visit us online at smcleanonline.com.
Got a mystery stain on the carpet and the kids insist they don't know what it is? Or you're just ready to give the house a good spring cleaning? Call Service Master Clean at 646-4087. Call today for spring specials.
Service Master Clean. For the clean you expect and the service you deserve. It's okay, AJ.
Tri-Hill Turf offers the highest quality turf and pest services. Hey, you say those are big words. Well, let's see. Tri-Hill Turf and Pest has a company agronomist, state and nationally certified technicians, free soil testing, and they even have precision GPS guided application equipment. Now that's high tech. For over 30 years, Tri-Hill Turf and Pest has used the latest application technology, and they strive for turf and pest excellence. They are your local turf and pest experts. Call the local team at 782-0404. Tri-Hill Turf and Pest.
Hey, Fort Smith, the Hampton Inn by Hilton was ranked in the top 10 Hampton hotels in the U.S., and their devotion to top-notch hospitality shows. With complimentary Wi-Fi, a free hot breakfast, and all of the bells and whistles you would expect, this newly renovated hotel has it all. They offer Hilton's digital key technology, meeting spaces, an indoor pool, and sports court. Hampton Inn by Hilton gives you everything you need for business or leisure travel. Give them a call at 479-452-2000 and see for yourself why the Hampton Inn is Fort Smith's best hotel.
Unlimited personal group training at the Fort Smith Athletic Club. Personal group training is a great way to create accountability for your fitness while improving mobility, endurance, and overall wellness. Reach your fitness goals faster with personal group training. Only $60 a month. Call Mike Johnson at 479-926-0193. These workouts are high intensity and get results in under an hour. Only $60 a month. Call for class schedules and details. 479-926-0193. Results happen here at the Fort Smith Athletic Club.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Ball's on the ground. Hobbs are going to scoop and score. They pick it up at the 5. Scooter Harris. Touchdown, Arkansas.
There's some good things going on at Arkansas football right now. This is a team that's able to move the ball in the air. Right now, Arkansas ranking 4th in the SEC, 29th in the nation, averaging 290 yards in the air. Also a team that is 20th in the country in sacks, 15. They've scored 3 defensive touchdowns, but a 2-3 record and some other issues certainly arise. Let's talk about some of that with Clay Henry, publisher of Hogs Illustrated. You can also read him at Whole Hog Sports. Clay, good afternoon. Have you caught any fish yet today?
No, I've been riding today. I think maybe I fished twice all of September, so it's not like I go much.
Oh, all right. I mean, I guess we talked.
Hey, it's football season. It's like I'm like you guys. That was a rare deal, 45 minutes that I snuck away last Wednesday. So I did go to by the Game and Fish office yesterday at Calico Rock and bought my lifetime fishing and hunting license. When you get over 65, you can buy a license that's good for the rest of your life. Hunting and fishing, trout stamp, duck stamp. You have to buy a federal stamp each year, but that's it. So I'm papered up for quite some time. Actually, I guess I'm laminated up. They laminated it for me.
Yeah, they laminated you. See, there's some really good things about approaching that age. Get some discounts, and you get an ability to get the lifetime fishing pass. So, Clay, I want to ask about something that you touched on in your column after Saturday's loss in the Southwest Classic, and it seemed that you felt that the way the game ended, that there are good things right around the corner, and it seemed that you were implying that you're anticipating that first SEC win behind Chad Morris sooner rather than later. Maybe that's with the upcoming opponent next Saturday being Kentucky, but what did you find most encouraging from Saturday, and do you see a win maybe potentially next Saturday?
Well, here the good thing about this team, and I know everybody was quick to cast aside Ben Hicks and the want for Nick Starkel. I get it. He's talented, but Hicks is good too. We didn't see the mesh with the young receivers in their offense early. They were just out of sync when they started the season. Sometimes that happens. Takes you a little while to get going. But he played with a different sense of urgency, and his team did too. And so everybody needs 2 quarterbacks. And you can look around the league and see the teams that are struggling now because they lost their top quarterback, and it just hadn't gone as well. Kentucky's one of those teams. And I suspect that Starkel's going to be fine in a few days, and he'll be able to play. But you could lose your quarterback again, and I think that now that Hicks is going to be ready. There was a lot of speculation that he body language, he wasn't this or he wasn't that, but he obviously prepared and was ready to play when his number was called and did well. They've got to clean up some things, though, guys. I mean, it's I like the idea that they brought the effort that we didn't see the previous week, and it's disappointing that you would have a game that you had a chance to win that you didn't play hard. So that's not going to go away. That's still there, and it brings up the question: how often are you going to get that top effort like you got against Texas A&M? Will they have it at Lexington? And that's the question mark or the cautionary flag that, okay, if they play like that, then yeah, they can compete with several teams that are left on the schedule. But what if they slip back into that abyss, the deep, dark, black hole that they were at for San Jose State, and play with that kind of effort? And I think if you read my column, the other thing that I said is the essence of coaching is do your players play hard? And I mean play hard every week. And we haven't seen that from Chad Morris's teams yet. And that's where he's got to get this team and this culture where every week they play somewhat the same. And that's what the good coaches do. And I'm not telling him something he doesn't know. He knows that. And I used to talk about Nolan Richardson and how hard his teams played every single game. And Bill, you've traveled with Dave Van Horn, and you know how hard those teams play. That's not an accident. I mean, that didn't just happen because you recruit the right players. It's what's instilled in them, and that there is never a detail that goes by in regards to playing hard that's skipped. They know it, and they demand it. And that's what Chad's got to do with this team, and they will win some more games this year because they've got some weapons. So long answer to a good question, Phil.
Talking with Clay Henry, publisher of Hogs Illustrated, here on Halftime on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. Clay, what Ben Hicks did, yes, he didn't win the football game, but he came in to that game with a lot of people doubting him, even his own fans, and performed. And I saw a couple comparisons to what Tyler Wilson did in 2010 against Auburn. Is that a stretch to compare those performances, or do you think that's kind of in line?
Well, there's something to that. I mean, there's something to saying, when it's time for the number 2 guy to be ready. But I think what Tyler did was probably, I will hold it in a little higher spot. Now, neither one of them won, and you got to make sure to recognize that. Mm-hmm. They didn't beat that Auburn team that was really good, but they did push them, and they did get the lead. But Tyler really hadn't played hardly any, and Ben had. So I think what Tyler did was really pretty incredible to step into that atmosphere, that environment against that team, and perform at that level. I mean, he hit a bunch of passes. Now he had some interceptions at the end when they got a little more desperate and got away from the things that he was doing. But it's the Hicks throw that he made to Mike Woods was as good a throw as you'll ever want to see. And anybody that questioned his arm strength or his ability to deliver a laser, that throw in the fourth quarter was terrific. And I'm not talking about the touchdown pass. I'm talking about it was kind of a deep out seam pass, down the right side. And that's the kind of throw that gives you hope. All right, this is a guy that can run the offense and run almost all the plays in there. And I wasn't sure about that until I saw that throw.
So, Clay, you've been talking, covering, writing about this team for quite some time, looking at the transition from Danny Ford to Houston Nutt and then Houston Nutt to Bobby Petrino. Those were two guys, and I'm speaking to Petrino and Nutt, that took over and got over what are called humps. And then Bielema takes over after John L. Smith, and you thought he was going to get over the hump after the LSU shutout, the Ole Miss shutout, and the Texas Bowl win, and maybe you can point to another game or two in 2015. But he didn't ever get over that hump that many people thought he would at Arkansas. For Chad Morris, Clay, what do you think there's something to that Houston Nutt and Bobby Petrino were able to accomplish that Brett Bielema didn't? And is there any advice, and I know that it's a writer talking to a coach, but if there's any advice, anything you could point to that you think he absolutely has to do to get over the quote-unquote hump here at Arkansas?
Yeah, I think playing the thing that and he knows this, and he talked about it afterwards. But when you're in crunch time, when you're in the fourth quarter, you can't beat yourself, and that's what Bielema's teams did. If you'll remember the Texas A&M games, the critical penalties. So you got to play clean when it's time to win a game, and they had 5 penalties in the fourth quarter. That now there were some instances that Texas A&M could have been called on penalties too. So it's a little disconcerting when you look at that aspect of it. That maybe a couple of PIs could have been called. But I think that you got to clean that up, and that's playing a lot of young players on offense and playing guys in different positions, and and still trying to put in more and more offense, and that's what frustrates a coach when they see an alignment error or a motion error, or just those are things that that you should have done before you get to the game. So they've shuffled a lot of wide receivers. I mean, they've had injuries and playing young guys there, not with the same guys that they had last year. So and these guys are playing with new quarterbacks, 2 new quarterbacks that have been shuffled around. So, but I get it. You go back to the Nutt transition after Danny Ford, and what I will take, it's like I wasn't surprised to see them win right away, because that was a loaded team. They were battle hardened. They had tons of good players. They had lots of juniors and seniors that had played for 2 and 3 years. That's not what we have right now. And I think that even Petrino inherited more good players when he took over from Nutt than say Chad Morris has from the Brett Bielema time. I'll go back to something that Grant Garrett, who was the center on that 98 team, really a good player, smart guy. He's got a suite, Razorback Stadium, and he told me 3 weeks ago, he said, this is a team that's like they're coming off the death penalty, that they were so low in talent, so low in line talent. And I think we tend to watch the backs and the speed, and we get that, but you've got to have guys down in the trenches that
Agreed. Clay, we got to cut it off. We're 10 seconds from the break. Appreciate you joining us as always.
Oh,
have a good
sorry.
week.
I can talk forever. I apologize.
No, that's why we have you on. Thanks so much. That's Clay Henry from Hogs Illustrated. We got some interesting Razorback tidbits coming up next on ESPN Arkansas.
Interview? Check out the Halftime Pod at hitthatline.com.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code. Lesson 42. This is how you say happy hour. It's happy hour. Let's go get some Bud Lights. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light. Crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Joe's Grill and Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half-price. And all beers on tap are half-price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina, 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps.
What does that mean?
It means they are the best of the best.
Okay.
It means that Jody'sAuto.com was voted by the people that deal with them,
their customers,
as best at first getting the car in one of their 3 shops quickly, finding out what was wrong with it, fixing it right the first time, and charging the customers a fair price for the repairs.
Getting it in, getting it out quickly at a fair price. Huh.
Real simple. Jody'sAuto.com. Best of the best.
Jody'sAuto.com. One stop for the best tire brands at the best prices, price match guarantee, and these folks know tires. 3 oil change specials. One stop for all services, all repairs, all maintenance, towing, and fleets. 3 locations, 2 in Fort Smith and 1 in Van Buren. When you have made up your mind to live by 3 words, do what's right, being voted by your customers best of the best is quite an honor. Convenience and trust. since 1984. Jody'sAuto.com, best of the best.
Look your best with Perfecto Cleaners at the bottom of Fiena Hills. Count on same-day service, easy drive-through covered drop-off and pickup window, and fast turnaround on alterations. Perfecto Cleaners always goes the extra mile to ensure your clothes look their best, making you look your best. Be sure to clip their coupons in the yellow pages, and as always, in by 9 and out by 5 Monday through Friday. Perfecto Cleaners, just off Jenny Lind at the bottom of Fiena Hills. Perfecto Cleaners, making you look your best.
If you have experience transporting frozen and refrigerated goods and want to be part of a trucking family with insurance and be home every week, you need to contact Brent Higgins Trucking. Since 1997, Brent Higgins Trucking in Mulberry has been proudly delivering to and from various areas of the United States, including but not limited to Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Brent Higgins Trucking, where you're a name, not a number. Call them at 479-997-2366 or log on to BrentHigginsTrucking.com.
ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Hicks going to throw off play action. Back shoulder, end zone. Touchdown, Arkansas! Mike Woods, 13 yards, and Arkansas grabs the lead.
I flipped on the television during the commercial break, Ty, and I looked to the listings. And I guess on Wednesday, the SEC Network right around now is usually playing a game from last week. What do they have on right now? They got Arkansas, Texas A&M, Jerry World. Yeah, there it is. And you know what's going on the telecast right now? Arkansas leads 17-14 with 16 seconds left in the first half, and A&M is inside the 5. And my friend, you know what happens next? Arkansas gives up the lead, goes into the locker room trailing. Happy Gilmore, you can shut up too. You know who can't shut up and who I don't want to shut up now or any other time? It's our friend Eddie in Clarksville, who is dialed in on the Cherokee Casino hotline. Eddie, I'm assuming you're not watching the replay of Arkansas, Texas A&M like I am?
Well, sir, I tell you what, I have kind of a feeling, sir, I'd like to express today. It's not depressing. I wouldn't call it depression. But being a Hawk fan for decades, I would call it, you know what I mean? It's a sick feeling in my stomach. But let me say this. I want to ask a couple questions. You and Ty can reiterate. At the time of Coach Morris is hired, and by the way, I've been an advocate of Coach Morris. One, I believe you got to throw the ball. Certainly, he believes that. Certainly, you got to recruit Texas. And you didn't have to go call Coach Morris. He could come Eddie from Clarksville. I could have told you that. But at the time of Coach Morris's hire, sir, there was a name thrown around. And his name was, and by the way, he played receiver at UCA. His name is Coach Norvell at Memphis. And it just seems the trajectory of the two programs, one's a little bit higher. And that's Memphis. And by the way, Memphis beat Ole Miss. Let's turn around and beat us. And I'm asking you this question right now, gentlemen. Say was it our expectation this year we would win at least one SEC game? And if you don't beat Kentucky, not to put added pressure on them on this game, you certainly wouldn't. But let me say this. You go out there 10 days from now on a Saturday night, and I think the White Kentucky is down to trying to try out receivers for quarter.
I think we lost him there, Phil.
Yeah, it sounded like we did. And, you know, I mean, I know Eddie said he'd kind of gotten off the Chad Morris train last week before the loss to Texas A&M. You know, and I've heard it in a lot of other areas too. You know, worrying about who you think the next coach is going to be right now, that's a waste of time. It's a total waste of time. Maybe you're right. Maybe Mike Norvell would be a great fit at Arkansas. But you know what? Right now he's an even better fit at the University of Memphis, and he's not going to be the Arkansas head football coach anytime soon. So
love me some Zach Arns, love me some Derek Ruskin, but I think Ruskin concocted the idea that this was a two-coach hire, that Chad Morris was kind of the placeholder for the next coach they were going to hire. And I maybe didn't catch the full segment, so I don't know if he just concocted it as a conspiracy theory, if he truly believes that. But I just don't think that's the case. I think when Julie Cromer and Hunter Yurchek and other people ultimately decided that Chad Morris was their guy. There was no idea out there that there was someone that was going to follow them a couple years down the road. I
love that stuff. It's an interim athletic director with the biggest chess move in the history of college football, thinking 2 coaches ahead. It's kind of laughable, but then again, so are most conspiracy theories.
And she even said on the Hog Pod when Chancellor Steinmetz asked her if she had any interest in the job, she told him no. That's at least what she said. Now, I don't know if that's actually true or not. You got to take her at her word, but that's kind of what went on during that. Here's the thing. They apparently vetted Norvell, and they ultimately decided he wasn't their guy. And there's Gus Malzahn, there's other people, people say Mike Leach. And here's what happens in coaching searches, Phil. Anyone that gets popular, anyone that fans want, they just assume that the U of A has a chance to talk with him, whether it's Mike Leach, Mike Gundy, throw whatever name out there you want. Fans just assume that the Arkansas name, the Arkansas tradition that once was, whether than once is enough to get those coaches at least interested in the program, when that's just not always the case. Now, I don't know if Norvell, I've never talked to him, I've never talked to anyone close to him about if he had interest in the job or not during the time, but you can't just throw out an idea, Phil, that we should get this guy, because, Phil, you have no idea if that guy has any interest in coming to coach the University of Arkansas. And by the way, to your point, Chad Morris is still the head coach. He's going to be the head coach for an undisclosed period of time because we don't know what's going to happen. But this idea that you should already be looking at other coaches out there, I think, is a little preposterous.
Oh, he's going to be the coach this year and next year, and I'll leave it at that. I won't look any farther ahead than that. And there's already, you already have the rumor train starting about other coaching openings. And, Rutgers fires Chris Ash, and then a day later, Joe Moorhead is answering questions as to whether or not Rutgers has contacted him. Because Moorhead is from the Northeast, is familiar with the Big Ten, and, hasn't made a national championship or a college football playoff in the less than year and a half he's been the head coach at Mississippi State. Some of the stuff is just ridiculous.
Greg Schiano, going back to his roots, you got to remember back when he was the head coach there, you had Ray Rice. I can't remember the quarterback. I don't know if that was Tom Savage might have been a little after that, but Rutgers was actually good at football. There was the competition in the Big East.
Like for a minute or so.
Yeah, for a minute.
They went 2-0 against Arkansas during that minute.
Yeah, so you had Rutgers, I think South Florida, West Virginia, and what was the other team? Louisville, I think, were the Big East teams that were actually competing, if I remember that correctly. That was, 07, 06, 08 in that time frame?
The heady days of Big East football. Once Miami left and Virginia Tech left. The heady days of Big East football. I remember when Big East football was supposed to be a thing, when they formed the football end of the conference in the 90s and get, Syracuse and Boston College, and Miami was the one that was supposed and did win all of their national championships for them. Virginia Tech was all right during that time. Pitt, here and there. The days of Big East football. Boy, those were the good old days. Good old days for tight ends at the University of Arkansas, is it not, Ty? We found out yesterday during the show, Cheyenne O'Grady earned the Mackey Award Player of the Week. That means he was the best tight end in college football last week, according to those who will be voting for the award at the end of the season for the nation's top tight end. 8 catches, 91 yards for Cheyenne O'Grady. There's a couple of things about his season right now, Ty, that don't necessarily jibe. He is averaging 61 yards per game receiving. That's 16th best in the SEC. But he's only scored 1 touchdown, and that's that incredible 62-yarder against Colorado State. Now, tight ends score most of their touchdowns when the team's inside the red zone, and that's where Arkansas has struggled mightily to the tune of, what do we have here? They've got 9 touchdowns on 20 trips inside the red zone. That's just 45%, one of the lowest percentages in the country out of 130 FBS teams. Meanwhile, Missouri tight end Albert, and I can't say his last name properly, so I'll just call him Albert O., who is probably the other best tight end in the SEC. Okwabunum, I think, is how I'll try to pronounce his name. He has 10 catches for the year, 4 touchdowns out of those 10 catches for Albert O., the Mizzou tight end. And that's tied for 4th most in the SEC. I don't know, and I'm not scheming this up, and I know that they've tried to throw to him a little bit in the red zone, but could Cheyenne O'Grady be a key to more success when you're inside the 20? It would seem to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, part of the red zone woos and miscues, he's unfortunately inherited the backlash of that. And I believe in the Texas A&M game, and fans, correct me if I'm wrong, listen to the program, you can text in 877-377-6963. I think Starkel or Hicks missed him on a little skinny post route, and they threw it over his head. Now, I could be mispicking the target on that, but I want to say that was Cheyenne O'Grady that was open in the back of the end zone, and they threw it over his head. And I can't remember if that was Starkel or Hicks, but I think it was O'Grady. And that just, the red zone has to get better because they're not going to win football games unless they turn their red zone around. They were outside the top 100 in both those categories, Phil, in both touchdowns and percentage, if I remember that stat right. Yeah,
amongst the last 30 in the country in both categories.
And I know the SEC Network did the best plays of the year so far in the Southeastern Conference, and his play in the Colorado State game was second, trailing only Najee Harris's touchdown. This is a guy, just as Chad Morris referred to in the offseason at SEC Media Days, has the potential to be the best tight end in the country. One, he's got to keep staying on the field, not only just for doing stuff off the field, but injury concerns. And then also, Phil, they got to give him the football when it comes to inside the 20 because the dude can make plays. We've seen that.
18 catches, 243 yards. O'Grady leads all tight ends in the SEC in receptions and receiving yards, 7th in the nation for receiving yards for tight ends, and he also leads SEC tight ends with 122 yards after the catch. Of course, how many of those were in that one play against Colorado State? Probably, I think about 40 of them, at least 40 of them, as the guy bounced off nearly every tackle he possibly could. Your reactions, get with us. 877-377-6963 is the Cherokee Casino hotline. We'll come back at some more Razorback tidbits, and Colin Cowherd said something stupid. Boy, isn't that news. ESPN Arkansas, hitthatline.com.
Missed a segment or interview? Check out the Halftime Pod at hitthatline.com.
Great camping weather is just around the corner, so at Breeden RV in Van Buren, we're having our year-end clearance sale right now. Get great deals on new RVs like travel trailers that start at $99.95 and fifth wheels starting under $30,000. Breeden RV is the only dealer that gives our new customers maintenance for life for free. We also have a great selection of pre-camp trailers and RVs to choose from. Now is the time to camp, and now is the time to let Breeden RV in Van Buren show you just how easy it can be. Breeden RV, your home for maintenance for life.
Oh, that's an RV.
Now is the time to book your fundraising and corporate golf outings for 2019 at Eagle Crest Golf Course. Call Eagle Crest now before all the best dates are gone. 479-632-8857. Eagle Crest Golf Course, voted best of the best golf course 2 years in a row. Let their staff take care of everything, from help with your tournament as well as food and beverage service. If you're looking for a place to host your corporate or charity event this year, call Eagle Crest Golf Course. 479-632-8857. Do you love crab legs? Then get to the Catfish Kitchen in Van Buren every Tuesday and Saturday night for all you-can-eat crab legs. Eat all the meaty, delicious crab legs you can hold. Plus all the fixin', coleslaw, beans, and the best hush puppies. Plus your drink, dessert, and ice cream are all included. It's only $44.95. That's all you-can-eat crab legs every Tuesday and Saturday night from 4 till 8 at the Catfish Kitchen. 727 Fayetteville Road at the top of Logtown Hill, across from the police station in Van Buren. Your fence is more than a decoration. It's a reflection of its owner. Choosing a fence company should be done with integrity and quality in mind. The Fence Man has been providing fencing and security solutions for over 40 years. An in-house custom iron and gate department, plus an access control department. The Fence Man offers services other companies aren't equipped to do. The Fence Man, fencing and security solutions to protect what matters most. 479-782-3936 or online at thefencemancompany.com, a division of Quantum Property Services.
Metal Mart offers high-quality prefabricated metal buildings, metal roofing, custom trim shops, carports, and more. They strive to be a company where contractors as well as do-it-yourselfers are welcome. Metal Mart assists you in calculating the materials needed to complete your project, all at a rate you can afford. They have locations in Fort Smith, Mayflower, Jonesboro, Pine Bluff, and Little Rock. Or you can find them online at metalmarts.com. Metal Mart, the right material for the right price.
There's never been a better time to switch to Sprint Unlimited and enjoy a great wireless plan at an amazing price. For a limited time, make the switch to Sprint and get your 3rd, 4th, and 5th lines free. That means 5 lines of unlimited for just $20 per month per line. That's a savings of more than $1,000 your first year over Verizon and AT&T. Hurry to a Sprint store. Visit sprint.com/unlimited or call 800-SPRINT1. Make the switch to Sprint today and get your 3rd, 4th, and 5th lines free. That's 5 lines of unlimited for just $20 per month per line from Sprint, a network built for unlimited. This is a limited time offer, so act now.
After 1/31/2020, pay $32 per month per line for 5 lines of unlimited basic with autopay. Savings compared to Verizon Go Unlimited and AT&T Unlimited and more for 5 lines. Features differ. Coverage and offer not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, fees, and roaming. Subject to credit and $30 activation fee. Speed maximums, use rules, and restrictions apply.
Are you looking for a new place to call home? Whether you're looking for an apartment, duplex, townhome, or a house, Trinity Multifamily has you covered. They even have options in surrounding states, from Texas to Michigan and Kansas to Tennessee. If you're looking for a new place to call home, make Trinity Multifamily your first call at 479-452-1817. That's 479-452-1817. Or online at trinitymultifamily.com to search rental properties near you.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Whaley, he gets the call, fighting for the goal line. Touchdown, Arkansas! Devwa Whaley goes the final yard as the Hogs march 64 yards in 10 plays to take the lead.
Halftime brought to you by The Fence Man. If you own a business that needs more security or just needs more curb appeal, perhaps, a new fence from The Fence Man can give you both. The Fence Man specializes in custom installations. They've been doing it for over 40 years, and they know all about it. Things like gates, controlled access card readers. Call The Fence Man for a quick, no-obligations quote. The number 479-782-3936, and ask for Henry. That's The Fence Man, a division of Quantum Property Services. Good text coming in here from Aaron in Clarksville on the Cherokee Casino hotline, 877-377-6963. Aaron points out that use O'Grady so much outside the red zone. He does so well, he's always going to be double-teamed in the red zone. So, Ty, my thought is if that's true, and I think it is, then shouldn't that open some of your other playmakers to score more than 9 touchdowns and 20 trips? Doesn't that give Traylon Burks a little more of an opportunity to do his thing? Doesn't it give Rakeem Boyd some more room as well? If you're double-teaming Cheyenne O'Grady, somebody else is open. So, again, that hasn't meant more scores.
Quarterbacks have not made the best decisions in the red zone. The offensive line has not given a ton of airway to the running backs to get a cap, get a crease, and get into the end zone. And then your wide receivers, I mean, these are still true freshmen. I know you love the athleticism and you love just the frame of Trey Knox at 6'5", Traylon Burks at 6'3", but these are still guys that could be prone to making mistakes. We saw it from Traylon Burks at the end of the Texas A&M game, lining up where he shouldn't have been. I mean, that still happens. So you hope that by the end of the season that all these guys are healthy and they feel a lot more threat, because just of sheer, like, get off the bus look, Phil, you should just be able to throw it up to whoever doesn't have double coverage, whether you're lining them out wide or in the middle, because they just should be tall enough to go get it and get the football. And I know it's a lot more complicated than that when you slice and dice the things, but that's just kind of an easy way of saying what should happen in the red zone with all the athleticism, all the wide receiver up-and-coming talent that you have at the University of Arkansas.
A couple of stats that I don't know if they jibe necessarily, Ty. Arkansas on the season is tied for second in the SEC and 20th in the country in team sacks. They've sacked the opposing quarterback 15 times, which is more than double the amount of times they've had to pick their own quarterback up. But that also goes along with poor pass coverage and poor tackling as well in the secondary. And Arkansas ranks 11th in the SEC and 93rd in the nation in receiving yards allowed, or passing yards allowed, whichever way you want to look at it. 252 yards allowed in the air by Arkansas. So they're getting to the quarterback. They are, I think with the exception of the San Jose State game, there's been pretty good pass rush. And again, you wonder why they weren't blitzing against San Jose State. But even with the pass rush, even with knocking the quarterback down, that doesn't equal great pass defense. And the poor tackling is a huge part of it. I know they were a lot better at not allowing A&M to get behind the secondary last week, but that also takes into account that Kellen Mond missed a wide-open receiver right down the middle of the field behind the secondary in the first quarter. Would have been like a 65-yard touchdown pass from where he threw it. So, again, these two things, maybe they go together in some cases, and it does show, yes, the defensive line and linebacking core, when they're rushing the passer, they've been effective, but the secondary has not been as effective as you need.
And you wonder how much more Dorian Gerald's presence would have helped out this football team. And you get Jamario Bell back, another senior. Gabe Richardson had his best game of the season with the forced fumble and a couple of things he did against Texas A&M. What that's allowing these younger guys is to kind of get into the rhythm, into the groove of playing college football in the SEC. And one of the good things about them not playing the Alabamas, the Auburns, and all that, you're not just getting just abused up front at first. But now, after Kentucky, you play two of the best offensive lines, not only in the SEC, but in college football. So they're going to have to not only be able to pass rush, but especially against Auburn, the ability to stop the run is crucial if you have any chances to slow down the Tigers, Phil. That has to happen first, is they have to stop the run. Then you can pin your ears back and go after the quarterback, because if you can't stop the run, you're not going to get a chance to rush the passer, because you're always going to think run, because they're going to keep pounding it down your throat again and again.
Boy, pass coverage better not be a problem against Kentucky. And again, I mean, this is something we'll pay attention to more next week, but they're going to be on their third quarterback for the season, potentially. That's not a team that should be throwing the ball with much success against you. 877-377-6963 is the number to get with us on the Cherokee Casino hotline. Good for a call, good for a text. Bill King will be joining us in the second hour from Nashville Sports Radio, and we've also got some Change My Mind to get to. Here's another problem, and I guess we thought this might not be a problem with Sam Loy transferring to punt at Arkansas, but punting last year was a big thorn in the side, and I think for a couple of reasons. Time one, there were just too many punts overall. Two, Reed Bauer wasn't really very effective as a punter. And you still have a little bit of the same case, too many punts, but they're scoring at a better average than last year. But Sam Loy hasn't really been a step up, which has been a surprise. Loy averaging just 38.5 yards per punt, which is the lowest in the SEC of any of the ranked punters. They rank 11 of them. And by the way, Alabama is behind Arkansas in net punting, but Alabama doesn't punt enough to even qualify for their punter to be in the SEC leaders. So again, that's why you got to take some of the per whatever statistics with a grain of salt. But for Arkansas, the net punting average of 35.1 yards means something. That's second lowest in the SEC. Arkansas is ahead of Alabama, but with 21 punts to the Crimson Tide's 11, the net punting difference doesn't really matter at all. So the national rank for Sam Loy, Ty, is 93rd out of 130 FBS teams, and that has to get better. You know, you saw a major difference last week between what's the kid's name for Texas A&M? Mann, I think, is their big
Braden Mann. I think
Braden Mann, who looks like an NFL punter, and I know Kentucky, who is punting a lot too. They've got a guy who's tops in the SEC at punting. And I guess you never want a game to come down to that, but hey, field position sometimes wins and loses your ball games. Field position was a major issue last year, and it looks like it continues to be an issue.
So your point about Alabama, there's a lot of times that if two of them happen not to score, they're near the 50-yard line or past it, and so the punt is already decreased because he's tried to pin it inside the 20. So you also have to think about that factor. So it's weird because Sam Loy's average career-wise, Phil, is better than it is now. And I know he's had some punts where he's been around the 50 or so, and his kick coverage hadn't helped him out. But really, he has not been the guy that many, including Chad Morris and his coaching staff, thought they were bringing in when it comes to adjusting field position, because Blake Johnson has proved he isn't the guy. You had Dylan Breen, you had Toby Baker, you had some guys that were decent punters back in the day, even the legendary Jacob Skinner, who used to do the thing. He wasn't the most lethal punter, but you just know him for his ritual punt. Do you know about that, Phil? Have I told you about that yet? So Jacob Skinner, for those who are watching our live stream, I'm going to do it. Jacob Skinner used to line up his punts like a field goal kicker. It was the funniest thing. And he's now coaching, I believe, Shiloh men's basketball for Shiloh Christian up there in Northwest Arkansas, but it was awesome. But you love what you've seen from Connor Limpert so far. I know people were a little frustrated that he missed that field goal against A&M. It was like a 51, 52-yarder. Not many college kickers can do that. You like what you've seen from Traylon Burks at spurts, what he's brought to the punt return unit. And I know that TJ Hammonds and I can't remember who was back there because I know Davion Warren won back kick return because of a concussion. But you've had a little spark there, not at Dennis Johnson or Joe Adams level, but a little bit, or Felix Jones or DMAC. But the special teams outside of punting hasn't been awful compared to what it was last year, Phil. At least you are a little better in that category.
B.E. from Clarksville, who obviously must listen to Ruskin Zach later on here on the ESPN Arkansas affiliates from 3 to 6. He wants to know what sort of eligibility Zach Arns has to kick and punt. So I saw he made a 42-yard field goal with no pressure on him whatsoever and no defense rushing after him in perfect conditions. I would assume he might be able to, lob a punt fairly decently under the same conditions. The problem is doing it again, B.E. from Clarksville, because I think Zach is pushing 50. So let me give you, for instance, all right? This past weekend back in Pittsburgh, I caught my father, my dad who still pitches at the age of 72, and I got down in a squat about 60 to 65 times. And it felt fine until yesterday. Really, and 2 days ago, which would have been the day after we did this, where, I am having some trouble walking around. So for Zach, I think one punt, one field goal would lead to an immense amount of pain the very next day. I don't think he'd be able to keep, even though I think he does have the eligibility, I don't think he's got the body to keep that eligibility to mean something.
Speaking of funny questions, Aaron in Clarksville text in, can we just play our third string against Auburn and Alabama so we can stay healthy for Mississippi State and Western Kentucky?
Why? It's some of that major experience the team needs, right? This is going to be where the backbone starts to show.
Man, that's I wonder what that would be like asking Chad Morris in the press conference if an astute media member asked him that. Hey, Chad, have you thought about playing your second and third stringers against Alabama and Auburn since you're not going to win, but you'll get your guys healthy? Have you thought about that equation? I can't imagine. And this is a guy that's really good with the media. I can't imagine, or not really, but good with the media. I can't imagine his response, Phil. That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be a bad question to ask. That would be a really bad question to ask.
Yeah.
Not one that will, probably one that would, I think, get your credentials yanked from you.
Quite fast.
Probably so. All right, that's our first hour in the books here on Halftime. In the second hour, we've got some Change My Mind. If you've got something to change my mind, 877-377-6963. Plus Bill King joining us from Nashville Sports Radio. So stay tuned. We're back after the break.
I'm Frank Mir, former UFC heavyweight champion. My career in the UFC was tough on my body. I was considering stem cell therapy, but now, thanks to water-soluble CBD from CBD American Shaman, my life is so much better. CBD American Shaman has a water-soluble product made with nanotechnology. The nanotech allows CBD oil to mix directly into the water in a cloud when other CBD oil would just float on the top of the water. American Shaman doesn't make claims. Their customers do. CBD American Shaman, a CBD like no other.
Some people will never reach the top. Some will never even try. But anyone with a gall to push their limits knows the reward. Here's an offer that goes further. Get a Yeti Hopper Flip 8 cooler, a nearly $200 value with the purchase of 4 new BF Goodrich mud terrain or all-terrain tires.
Get where you need to be with Southern Tire Mart, just off I-540 at exit 14 in Fort Smith.
See bfgoodrichtires.com/promo for complete details. Offer expires 10/8/2019. Void where prohibited.
Do you hear that Coors Light being poured? It's the perfect temperature. How can I tell just based on the sound? I can't. But I can see that the mountain on the can is blue. And when the mountain is blue, your Coors Light is perfectly cold. Coors Light is cold lagered for a crisper taste, cold filtered for brightness and clarity, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. Doesn't that sound good? 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Did someone say, I'm hungry? Visit 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge on the Avenue. Try the new panini sandwiches like the Chicken Pyro or the Cubana or the signature 906 wings. Jumbo wings roasted with honey bacon jam. Want some spice? Try the black and blue wings. Experience their salads, flatbreads, coffees and desserts, top shelf wines and liquors, premium beers, world-class cigars, all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge and more like a destination. Sample, indulge, escape. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Treat your appetite on the Avenue.
Arrow Bolt and Screw is Fort Smith's distributor of bolts, screws, fasteners, anchors, and much, much more. They have a wide variety of stainless steel inventory and metric fasteners. This family-owned and operated business takes great pride in providing their valued clients with high-quality products at low, affordable prices. Arrow Bolt and Screw can be found at 5424 Wheeler Avenue in Fort Smith. That's Arrow Bolt and Screw. Call 646-0540. That's 646-0540. Arrow Bolt and Screw.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
Keeping our weather clear and quiet tonight. An overnight low will settle back in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Wednesday, lots of sunshine, plenty of heat. Upper 80s to low 90s. Now, we could see a slight chance of a shower or storm Thursday, a little bit more manageable. Highs near 80 degrees. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
I hate everything you just said. KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Bush and Bushlight Studios on ESPN 95.3.
They're hilarious.
Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas. I love everything here. Give me that thing here. Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
Hit that line.
.com.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Phil, you're one of the best baseball announcers in the country, and Ty, you're one of the best up-and-coming young talents in the broadcasting industry. You really do your homework.
See ya, D-Mac. Hold on, Matt Ryan. D-Mac not looking back. Touchdown.
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like
it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on. It's almost halftime.
We're over the hump into the second hour on a Wednesday, hour number 6 out of 10 on halftime for the week. So why don't we do it? This is last week's box score. I feel like this is part of the tradition now, Ty. It's part of halftime. Every Wednesday, 1 o'clock. I don't know what I'm going to do next week because you got no box score to do this to. That's Arkansas, Texas A&M, and it's done. So there you go. No more moral victories. Enough with the moral victory stuff to begin with, right? So on a Wednesday, that's one thing I know you can't possibly change my mind about.
I changed my mind.
Hi, Joey.
Hey, how you doing?
He won't sell anybody out to buy his future.
How can you be so obtuse? What did you call me? Obtuse? Is it deliberate? Son, you're forgetting yourself.
Change my mind.
So everybody's got to get the opinion out there about the name, image, and likeness deal, the California Fair Play Act, which was signed by Gavin Newsom on the LeBron James HBO show over the weekend. And so I guess I can get mine in here. So here's the thing. A lot of people might be worried about the idea that this is the quote-unquote beginning of the end of the NCAA. I think that's a term Ravel used. So, hey, if that's the case.
And
Mark Cuban. Okay, if that's the case, so be it. So be it. It's not going to change a lot of the things that I think you really do love about college sports. I mean, the things that you involve yourself in with college sports. Whatever you think about amateurism was dead a long time ago. And the world didn't end, and the sports world didn't end when the Olympics started allowing professional athletes to take part in the formerly all amateur games, in which the rules didn't really even make sense. you'll still be able to tailgate. Arkansas will still have an athletic department. The Razorbacks will still be the Razorbacks. You'll still be arguing about wearing anthracite if you hate it. You'll still, I think, compete against the same teams that you compete against now, and maybe, just maybe, the games might get even more interesting, because what will end up happening for me is that the Power 5 leagues will separate themselves from the rest of the pack. Maybe in college football, and then figure out a way to coexist with the other leagues in the other sports, where the haves and have-nots aren't necessarily so separated. And the NCAA basketball tournament, maybe it won't be called the NCAA basketball tournament. You're still going to have a basketball tournament to declare a national champion at the end of it. There will still be a College World Series. You'll still be a fan. You'll still call the Hogs. You can still love the Razorbacks. But it's just that the fact of the matter is that the money will end up going somewhere else. This is all about a transfer of power, a transfer of money going from under the table to over the table, to untaxed to being taxed. And they'll still be on the field playing these sports. If it's the end of college sports as we know it, you'll still have college sports anyway. Maybe the classroom won't be linked to it, but universities are not going to be letting go of the fact that they have these multi-million-dollar corporations that are called athletic departments that are operating in many different sports, and we'll still be talking about it. And maybe, just maybe, it'll end up being better for college sports. Don't be afraid about the idea of the end of the NCAA. Change my mind.
So I think Tommy brought up a good example, and I think there's arguments to both sides when it comes to this issue. Tommy brought up a good point. Let's say Joe Smo donates $100,000 a year to the University of Arkansas and the Razorback Foundation. And in order to get a certain 5-star or a certain 4-star, he had to pay that said person that $100K. And so when the university asks for the donation, it's gone because it's been given to the player to get him to campus because that player wanted so-and-so amount of money to come to the University of Arkansas. In terms of NCAA athletics, I think one of the reasons fans gravitate towards college athletics here in the South and certain areas of the country more is because there's the idea that it's more passionate, there's a love for the program rather than a love for money, and a number of different things.
It's also been ingrained in the culture in this part of the country in ways that professional sports have not. There's just more roots to college athletics in the Southeast than professional sports roots. And part of that, I think, is because the kids are from these areas. You know, for the most part, college sports, you know, I know you talk about recruiting on a national landscape, but really, I mean, you're recruiting on very much of a regional landscape in most of the athletic departments.
That's right. So the idea that it depends on what are you trying to argue? What am I trying to change your mind? That the NCAA was going to end? Is that what you're...
No. It's that if the NCAA, if this is the beginning of the end of the NCAA, fine. College sports isn't really going to end. It's not going to end. It's just going to change.
Well, I think
change isn't bad.
I think that it's the idea that a lot of people listening right now want college sports to be, and that's without money involved, without a lot of the same stipulations that go on with paying professional athletes. But if this is going to be enacted, I think a lot of those ideals go away. Would I be correct in saying that, Phil?
If first of all, if you're a college sports fan because you think money's not involved, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you.
Yeah.
So please get over the idea that money's not involved in it. This is just a matter of the money being more out in the open.
And that's fair. And I think so. We were going to bring this Colin Cowherd bit up earlier, and so we might as well do it now because I think it perfectly ties into your argument. Colin Cowherd had this to say yesterday: if I'm a potential college athlete and could get money for my likeness, why would you play anywhere but Cali? The social media companies are here. Entertainment, marketing, LA is LA's business. Music/movie mongols are everywhere. Or go make some money from a local car dealer in Fayetteville. So there is some...
Colin's got a thing on Fayetteville here.
Yeah,
what do you have against Fayetteville?
His daughter, did I tell you what his daughter wore? His daughter wore a Razorback shirt to a market in California. You know what she said about it, Phil?
What?
She said ugly shirts in the veggie zone. She took a picture in front of like produce, and I didn't understand this. So like the Cowherds have a vendetta against the Razorbacks for some reason. I don't understand it, but there's truth to that. Obviously, the media companies, Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas, even Little Rock, it's not a big time television like spot. Like I know
for crying out loud, the world's largest retailer is just north of the university. You've got major corporations.
Okay, but we're talking about attention. Like you know this. You know this. You can't lie about this. You can't detract from this. University of Arkansas athletes don't get the same attention that a USC athlete would. You see it like big time programs.
A good athlete inside the state of Arkansas, at Arkansas, will be more famous and more well known within the borders of the state of Arkansas than a good athlete at USC.
And
where
that's fair.
There's too much going on for people to care about.
But there's also
what's happening at USC,
and that's fair to a certain extent. But there's also a national brand you got to think about. But to your point, I'll go back and kind of retract what I'm saying. To your point, I think the way that Arkansas, if it goes across the country and it's looking like it's trending that direction, the way that Arkansas and others will have some pull is with the Fortune 500 companies that you referred to, Walmart, some others, and the fact that you're the it guy. Like everyone in the state, if you're a starting quarterback, if you're a 5-star starting quarterback, everyone in the state, if you're a stud, they want your autograph. Like, remember how polarizing Mitch Mustang was? And I know that you're going to watch the identity theft of Mitch Mustang tonight for halftime homework, but there was just something about that kid. Parade National Player of the Year, and he goes to Arkansas. I know it didn't work out for a number of different reasons, both on his end and on Houston Nutt's end, but man, like, everyone wanted to be a piece of him. Same with Darren McFadden. Same with some other studs that have come through. When you're playing football at the University of Arkansas, you're the it guy. You can even say the same about basketball. I know we're more tying this to football at this point, Phil, but I think there's arguments to both sides. I don't know if I can necessarily say the NCAA is coming to an end if that happens, but there's arguments to both sides, and this is kind of one of those instances where I say it's not a black and white issue. You can't just be 100% saying it's this, 100% saying it's that, because there's pros and cons to both sides of the equation.
Ty, you can't change my mind that great camping weather is just around the corner as soon as the heat breaks. So at Breeden RV in Van Buren, they're having their year-end clearance sale right now. You'll get great deals on new RVs, travel trailers starting at $99.95, and fifth wheels that start under $30,000. Breeden RV is also the only dealer that gives new customers maintenance for life for free. Plus, Breeden RV also has great selection of pre-camp trailers and RVs to choose from. Now is the time to let Breeden RV in Van Buren show you how easy it can be. They're home of maintenance for life.
Missed a segment or interview? Check out the Halftime Pod at hitthatline.com. This is the Morning Rush.
John, I love your passion, but I don't know what you're drinking this morning. Get rid of it. Tommy, drug test this guy. I don't know if that's a policy at the radio station.
It's going to become one.
But legitimately, there's got to be some psychiatric help that will reach out to you, John, and provide it as a service for some free advertising for the radio station.
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3.
When was the last time you looked forward to seeing the dentist? Well, if it's been a while or you haven't had the best of experience with dentistry, meet Marcy Van Ash McKinney in Family Dentistry. They take care of it all. Crowns, bonding, dentures, bleaching, and cosmetic dentistry. They even offer oral consciousness sedation available for your comfort. That's Marcy Van Ash McKinney Family Dentistry at 807 South 21st. Call for an appointment today, 494-7600. That's 494-7600.
Great camping weather is just around the corner, so at Breeden RV in Van Buren, we're having our year-end clearance sale right now. Get great deals on new RVs like travel trailers that start at $99.95 and fifth wheels starting under $30,000. Breeden RV is the only dealer that gives our new customers maintenance for life for free. We also have a great selection of pre-camp trailers and RVs to choose from. Now is the time to camp, and now is the time to let Breeden RV in Van Buren show you just how easy it can be. Breeden RV, your home for maintenance for life.
Oh, that's an RV.
Full-time farmers, hobby farmers, and landowners, your time is important.
Make the most out of that time with a brand new Branson tractor from Bush Machine and Tractor in Fort Smith. With tractors from 19 to 105 horsepower, we have a tractor that will fit your needs. Ask Bush Machine and Tractor about their special financing options and free loader rebates. Bush Machine and Tractor in Fort Smith is Arkansas's #1 Branson dealer. Check their inventory at bushtractor.com.
Right now, I'm holding a perfectly ice-cold Coors Light. You know how I know it's the perfect temperature? Because the mountain on the can is blue. And also, it's really cold. Every Coors Light is cold filtered, cold lagered, and cold packaged. Notice how many times I said cold? 3 times. It's that cold. So make sure the mountain on your can of Coors Light is blue, because that means it's ready to enjoy. 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Is your home at least 10 years old and served by OG&E? OG&E is offering Arkansas customers a free weatherization program to increase your comfort and lower your bills. A trained crew will perform an energy audit at no cost to you, and if your home qualifies, our crews will install measures that will save you money. The services provided through this program are absolutely free to qualifying homes. If you could benefit from free home weatherization improvements, call OG&E at 1-800-272-9741. That's 1-800-272-9741.
You've worked hard your whole life anticipating the day you could finally retire. If that day is near, there are 5 things you need to do. Spend wisely, understand your retirement plan distribution options, plan for your required minimum distributions, know your Social Security options, and consider phasing. Call Brad Lewis at United Financial Advisors to discuss these steps in detail at 242-7466 or through our website at ufadvisors.net.
Securities and advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, member FINRA SIPC. United Financial Advisors is a marketing destination. Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair is your one-stop shop for all repairs. Paintless Dent Repair, door dings, unsightly dents, and hail damage repair, all repaired to like new conditions. With over 1 million repaired vehicles with satisfied customers, Michael Littleton is the expert in paintless repair. Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair, conveniently located 3 miles from the Arcoma exit off Highway 112. Or call 479-461-9764. Your #1 Arkansas fan.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Starkle on first down, straight ahead, Boyd, lots of room, to the 40, to the 30, it's a foot race, and Boyd's going to the house. Rakeem Boyd, 59 yards, touchdown Arkansas.
Big decommitment involving an Arkansan yesterday. 4-star prospect Devontae Davis, 6'3" shooting guard, ranked 79th amongst the ESPN rankings, out of Jacksonville, Arkansas, who had committed to Oklahoma State. Well, he made the decommitment announcement yesterday and is already talking about still having interest in the Arkansas Razorbacks. He says he maintained the interest even though he had chosen to head over to Oklahoma State. So that's another decommit. Well, not a decommitment, because Isaac McBride didn't decommit. He just left the University of Kansas. He's transferring out. He's visited already at Arkansas, assuming now that Davis will as well. He's talked about apparently having some interest in coming to this Saturday's red-white game at Barnhill Arena. And so some players that you thought, hey, these are kids that are from Arkansas. Why are they not going to go to the Razorback basketball team? Well, maybe they're going to look at it again with a new coach in Eric Musselman, who seems to get these kids' interest pretty quickly.
Phil, here's a guy that has offers from Oregon, Florida, Auburn, Ole Miss, SMU, and others. Kevin McPherson, our buddy, who we have on every couple weeks or so, he broke this story. He's a lefty. You know how much I like lefties.
What is it with you and the lefties? Are you left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed, but there's something unorthodox, kind of like a left-handed pitcher. I just kind of have an affinity for left-handed basketball
There's always
players.
been something about lefties. The southpaw boxers, have an edge.
Yeah.
Left-handed shooters in the NHL. And it really, more than anything, it's just because you don't see a lot of left-handers. So you're just not used to facing somebody that uses that hand as the dominant hand.
I think about guarding someone in basketball, you're so geared to push them left all the time, and that's just innate. It's in your brain 24/7. So when you actually play a lefty and you allow them to go to their better hand, it's difficult. I remember my buddy who I used to play basketball one-on-one when we were in high school, he was a left-handed, and he couldn't do anything with his right hand. So I sat on his left, and he felt, unless we might have lost one time, I don't think he ever beat me playing one-on-one because I would just sit on his right hand and he couldn't do anything. But obviously a lot of left-handers have the ability to do both things. I like it. But, I mean, Phil, you want to look at this class, man. 4 top 100 kids in the ESPN Top 100. Moses Moody at 29. Kevin McPherson always talks about he's at the prestigious Montverde Academy, and he's from North Little Rock, won a state championship there. Devontae Davis, who we just talked about, he's at 79 playing at Jacksonville. Jalen Williams, local kid, Fort Smith Northside, at 87. KK Robinson, who is from Bryant, now transferred to Oak Hill Academy. He's at 90, plus Chris Moore, who's a 4-star kid. I mean, this basketball class 2020 is loaded. And if they could somehow swing Isaac McBride, was part of the 2019 class, went to Kansas, is now leaving because of the NCAA stuff going on there. Man, he's got some stuff to work with early on, Phil, when it comes to these high school kids, and even Isaac McBride, who could be a potential transfer.
It's interesting with Arkansas, and I feel like, it's a football crazy sport where the most successful team at the most popular program, the University of Arkansas, is the baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
Yet maybe Arkansas is a basketball state when it comes to homegrown products. And these 4 that you've listed, plus McBride and, a host of others that have already left the state of Arkansas and either played for the Razorbacks or gone on to somebody else. It's been fertile basketball talent for a long time now, and potentially at the top of the list of the kind of athletes you produce. Arkansas might be a basketball state first and foremost.
Yeah, you think about the 2 greatest players in Arkansas basketball history, and some can argue with me on this. It's got to be Sidney and Corliss, right? Where are they from? Russellville and Little. Those are 2 local Arkansas kids that are the best players in Arkansas history. You think about recent, I know Nick Mason was on the Morning Rush talking about this. You got Archie Goodwin, James Anderson. You have Malik. There's a lot of talent that has been in the state, not necessarily all gone to the University of Arkansas, but basketball talent is not going to be an issue, and especially in this class, man. If he could get some of these in-state guys, and you got to remember, we'll see what happens with Vanover. I know Note and a couple other of these guys have to sit out a year, get ready for next year, but if they can get some of those guys prepped and some of these 4-star just stud kids in here, and that would seem like a pretty good mix of talent that he could accumulate, right, Phil?
I think so. Yeah, apparently Davis says he wants to go to the red-white game,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe you get a chance to bump into him on Saturday, Ty. I know you've got plans to get over to Barnhill. I know you got to be really fired up about this because you're the basketball guy on this show, and maybe, other than Nick Mason, you're the basketball guy at ESPN Arkansas. And I know you've never been to a game inside Barnhill. You've read about it. I think you've seen replays. I know you really got fired up talking to Tim Brando about being the guy who called the last game, played at Barnhill Arena. And I'd be really interested to see what it's like there, but I didn't grow up here. I didn't have that idea of the atmosphere in the old building constantly, being whispered in my ears. So I can imagine how excited you might feel. And really to a lot of the other fans and students who are around your age, who are in the same boat, this Saturday's got to be, I don't know if I'd call it a seminal moment, but it's your one chance to really step back in time in a way you've never had a chance to.
So I know Zach Arns has been arguing with a lot of people that Barnhill was far superior than Bud Walton when it comes to atmosphere. And I think this game is going to be a way to transcend time, transcend generations, combine Arkansas basketball fans in one group. You have the Oliver Millers, the Joe Kleins of the world, and other different former Razorbacks that are going to be putting up their videos on the Arkansas Razorback Twitter account of their favorite Barnhill memory. For Joe, it's probably been Hakeem Olajuwon in Houston at the time. Phi Slam and Jamma for Joe. Sorry, I said for Joe. For who we were just talking about, Oliver's block and Shaq, LSU. I mean, there are just some instances in some games in Barnhill that was absolutely incredible. And for a guy like me, 24 years old, that never got to witness what that atmosphere, what those games were like, I know it's not going to be the same, but at least to just get a touch, a sliver, a morsel of what those atmospheres, those games were like, I think it's big because a lot of times, Phil, I know Nick brought this up this morning, someone else was asked, the recruits asked about Lee Mayberry, and they said, Lee who? Like, and I know that you and I, I
remember watching Lee Mayberry.
Yeah, I know.
And that's before I even knew where the state of Arkansas was located.
And I know for you and I, it's our job to know Arkansas history, football, basketball, baseball, and whatnot. Some of us do it better than others. Hutch is incredible at stuff like this. But this is going to be a combination with so many former players. See, no one's going to be there. I mean, there's just so much that's going to be put into this game. There's going to be, I guarantee you, an incredible highlight reel of the different games that went on. There's going to be a lot of introductions. It's just going to be just a full circumference of what everything that went in the Barnhill. And then not the following week, but the week after, on October 20th, that Sunday, you get the unveiling of Nola Richardson Court. It's going to be just a good week. A good month, the month of October for Arkansas basketball fans, Phil.
So 2 questions to ask you, Ty. One, do you have a rundown, a date on, or a countdown for the start of basketball season? Because I think we're going to get that thing kicked off. We're a little less than 5 weeks now, right?
34 days. There will be a Corliss Williamson highlight that is showcased on our social media later today. I'm thinking the Duke and one on Cherokee Parks would probably be the best highlight to put up. If y'all have a different highlight or different something of Corliss that you think I should put on our social media stuff, text in 877-377-6963. But yeah, man, 34 days out for when Arkansas tips off against Rice. It's gearing up, man. That's why just you hope the basketball team at least is close to making the NCAA tournament / gets a couple upsets, because so many people are piped up for this season. They are hyped, man. And you hope that Musson going to deliver a Final Four, Elite Eight, but you hope he can at least deliver an NCAA tournament, even though that shouldn't be the expectation.
37 days until tip-off of Arkansas women's basketball, and they get that Screaming Kids Day morning game against New Orleans on November the 8th. That's right. Nothing better than, and they'll probably get more than the 5,000 or so that were there last year. If you were to close your eyes, you would think that Screaming Kids Day at Bud Walton Arena with maybe 6,000 or 7,000 kids, it sounds like a full house. It hurts, man. I had, and I don't know how to pronounce this properly, maybe tinnitus or tinnitus. You know, the ringing in your ears. I got that really badly from last year, and then had to do an hour of halftime courtside with those kids exiting the arena.
I remember that. Yeah,
it was pretty tough to do. So my other question, Ty, maybe we want to put this out to a vote from our listeners. Cherokee Casino Hotline open 877-377-6963, or be like Levitard and say, put it on the poll, Ty. What do you want to put odds on the Slobber and Hog being the new mid-court logo for Arkansas basketball? And it makes perfect sense. Baseball's allowed to have their own logo. Baseball's got the swinging Razorback, and you can see that really at various entry points all around Baum-Walker Stadium, that swinging Razorback. My favorite Arkansas polo is the swinging Razorback. So baseball's got their own logo. Football runs the university. I don't know what other sports have their own logos. I'll assume some have their own. But it makes sense for basketball to have their own logo, and the Slob Hog is basketball only, right?
I think that's fair. So tossing it up right now. I am your Guillermo for today, Phil.
Do you want to put odds on this?
What?
Hey, I'm not putting you on the spot yet. Maybe we'll come up with some betting odds for the Slobber Hog on court.
For a second. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll figure that out. Maybe we need we need one of those people that works for the insurance companies. Forget what they're called, but we need one of them. And we need to go to the break because we got Bill King from Nashville Sports Radio coming up. Stick around to talk with the king of college football talk on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
Missed a segment or interview? Check out the Halftime Pod at hitthatline.com.
Great camping weather is just around the corner, so at Breeden RV in Van Buren, we're having our year-end clearance sale right now. Get great deals on new RVs like travel trailers that start at $99.95 and fifth wheels starting under $30,000. Breeden RV is the only dealer that gives our new customers maintenance for life for free. We also have a great selection of pre-camp trailers and RVs to choose from. Now is the time to camp, and now is the time to let Breeden RV in Van Buren show you just how easy it can be. Breeden RV, your home for maintenance for life.
Oh, that's an RV.
This is Mark Hurst. It's back to school time for our kids and teachers, and for a lot of our families, including mine, back to school means back to a routine. At Hurst Family Dental Care, we recommend a routine when it comes to your dental cleanings. For a lot of us, routine cleanings are included at no additional charge through our dental insurance, but often we get out of the routine and taking advantage of that benefit. Call our office today at 474-1972 to set up your routine cleaning. Hurst Family Dental Care, a name you know and a name you can trust.
Joe's Grill and Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half price. And all beers on tap are half price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina. 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code, Football Edition. This is how you say, game tonight. Bring Bud Light. Fantasy fees are due. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light, crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Supercuts of Arkansas is raising breast cancer awareness and donating to Bright Pink. Bright Pink is the only nonprofit organization that focuses on prevention and early detection of breast and ovarian cancer. Join the fight, breast cancer awareness. Donating to Bright Pink, the only nonprofit organization. Supercuts, help them reach their goal of $15,000. Supercuts is conveniently located and serving its community 7 days a week. Supercuts, they're super into the movement. Supercuts, fresh, clean, sharp.
Make Awake Boat Sales and Service is not only where you can get your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat, they also carry a huge selection of bait and tackle. Find whatever floats your boat at Make Awake Bait and Tackle. They carry tons of top brand lines of rods and reels and everything you need to gear up your tackle box, from Strike King, Kitech, and Zoom to Sunline and War Eagle products. Make finding your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat an easy catch with Make Awake Boat Sales and Service in Van Buren, 4806 Alma Highway in Van Buren, and MakeAwakeBoats.com.
ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts, we're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Play fake, gonna throw a fade, left side, knocks at the goal line, complete, touchdown Arkansas! Trey Knox, 24 yards, and just like that, the Hogs are in the end zone.
One of our favorite times of the week to talk to Bill King from Nashville Sports Radio every Wednesday about this time. Bill, how's your life treating you these days?
Hey guys, doing good. Appreciate it. 98 degrees, but it's all good.
Yeah, that's well said. Very well said. So, and I guess you wouldn't expect it to be 98 degrees on October the 2nd. But I love October, and I remember saying this last year at this time. Ty reminded me of it yesterday, that I think October is the best time of the year to be a sports fan. And, for me, probably more than anything, it's because of the baseball playoffs. We had a great game last night. I would think for you, you've got to love October, because this is when the college football season really begins to gel. And maybe since we talk so much SEC, this is when the SEC race really starts to take shape. This is when the SEC is finally playing mostly against the SEC. So how do you feel about October for college football fans?
Well, good point. You got Auburn, Florida coming up. That's the biggest game inside the league to date. And it's an important game. Both teams top 10, undefeated, et cetera, with big hopes. Yeah. I mean, my favorite month, this sounds bad because I was just complaining about the weather, and it's 98, but it's May because it turns spring, and the kids are getting out of school and all that. That's my favorite month. But yeah, October's cool, man. And we start, look, the chalk. in college football, which is Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia, those teams, maybe Auburn, maybe LSU, we start getting maybe a little separation. Maybe we get some this month.
Well, maybe a little separation between the Auburn and Florida game because of the fact that both of these teams are unbeaten. Auburn looked like a really good physical club the way they pushed around Texas A&M. Florida looks good and physical too. What would you expect to see in Gainesville this Saturday?
Well, Auburn's playing better right now. I don't really have much of a problem issuing that statement, but it's in the swamp, and that is very meaningful. If Florida wins this game, it's a turnover game, which is Captain Obvious stuff, but maybe it's not. I think Auburn, true freshman quarterback who's played really well today. No complaints there. But the swamp is a different animal. And this is a primetime game. That's Florida's chance. Florida's one issue right now, guys. Kyle Trask is playing well. It's the running game. They can't run the ball. And I don't know if you can't run the ball, and we're in October, and now you're going to face by far the best defensive front you've seen. That's going to be tough. So they're going to have to figure that out, guys, and they're going to have to be balanced, and maybe they're going to have to do some stuff east and west to get north and south in the short passing game. But that's, to me, if you want to circle the issue in the ball game, it's that one right there.
Talking with Bill Keene, Nashville Sports Radio on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. Bill, I know you got a chance to talk with Kevin Hagan, who does stuff with Alabama. Thinking about Nick Saban's defenses over the years, they have been ferocious, tenacious studs. Is this the worst defense he's had since 2007?
Well, now, right after the national championships, 11 and 12, they hit a little string there where they had a drop-off at DB. Lasted about, remember that year they opened up with West Virginia and gave up 1 trillion yards. They won. They gave up a ton of yards to Dana Holgorsen and that group. But overall, here's what they don't do right now in defense. They don't get to the quarterback. They don't have anybody close to Chase Young at Ohio State. They don't have a DB close to Jeffrey Okudah, a cornerback at Ohio State. Guys that are playing, I think, the best at their positions in America right now. Usually Alabama's got that guy. Now, they have guys with a lot of talent. Maybe they're not playing up to it. Maybe there's some inexperience. It could be a myriad of things. Maybe they shouldn't have hired Pete Golden, who was already on the staff, and elevated him to be the defensive coordinator. There's a lot of maybes in there. Now, the flip side of that, guys, is they've got the best receiving corps by far in America. Jalen Waddle in basketball shot terms can't even get shots up because of all those receivers. They're not great at running back. They're good, but they're not what they were. They're not what they were with Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris, and we can go on and on and on. So it's going to be interesting. Now, that passing attack might be so good it might not matter. But right now, you're right. That is not up to their standards.
Let's talk about a former Ohio State DC and Alex Greenidge, who did some secondary stuff there, worked out at Washington State, which they actually had a good defense when he was with Mike Leach, which is like unheard of with that spread attack. Now he's at OU. Bill, you look at the last 2 games that Oklahoma's played in, talking about postseason-wise, in the college football playoff, they couldn't stop Georgia's rushing attack, and they couldn't stop Tua. Is Greenidge the key for Lincoln Riley to get over the hump and get to that national championship and ultimately win it all?
Well, it sure looks like that. Very highly thought of, beginning, as you mentioned, with this Mike Leach relationship. Now, Ohio State a year ago, actually, and Greg Schiano takes a lot of heat for this, defense didn't play that well most of the time. And remember, the last 2 years they gave up to Purdue and Iowa 1 trillion points in those losses. Really head-scratching losses, just abrupt, actually. But that's solidified up there, too, where they're at in C-Bus. But, yes, I think that's the proper way to identify. Now, I don't know who Oklahoma's played, who in the boxing ring actually throws punches back at them. But that's not their fault. And we're going to find out at the Red River rivalry here soon. And Big 12's not very good right now. TCU isn't very good, even though they just had that controversial ending with Kansas where they scored. And then you've got Oklahoma State, a pass, but Oklahoma State can't win Bedlam. He can win almost every other game, but he can't win Bedlam. Iowa State's not a contender. So Oklahoma, I think, other than Texas, got a pretty clear path.
Well, Clemson. Let's talk about Clemson here. head-scratcher against North Carolina. And I know Carolina's had some head-scratching games themselves, but they almost pull one out, which would have been a gigantic upset. Trevor Lawrence, maybe a little bit of a regression, but teams might be defending him just a little bit better than they did last year. Any issues with Clemson, even though they're unbeaten, but a lackluster performance last week?
I'll give you my critique, happily, but let me point out first. Clemson does something like this every year. 2 years ago, they lost to Syracuse, and they got to the playoffs. Last year, they should have lost to Syracuse. Remember, Trevor Lawrence went out of the game early, and this was at Clemson. And frankly, I thought Syracuse outplayed them. My point is, nobody has mastered the art of peaking at the right time better than Clemson. And that's something that's not talked about a lot, but it's a thing. It's an art form. And, for example, Alabama peaked last year, the LSU game. Nick Saban could feel it. Right after that, he didn't think they were right, and ended up getting clobbered there at the end by Clemson. Clemson was peaking. Now, do I think Clemson, having been long-winded there, is as good as they were a year ago? No. They lost too many players. And they're sluggish right now on offense. They've got a receiving core that's right up there. It might not be Alabama's, but it's right there at the top. It's one of the top three receiving cores. Etienne's a fantastic running back. They're really trying to patch together their offensive line. The Jackson kid's the best player up there. And it's just not clicking right now. Defensively, they're really good. They got Brent Venables. They might not be as talented as they were a year ago, but they're still outstanding. They stacked up defensive linemen. And here's the other thing. They play in a garbage league. I mean, we were talking the other day. If you were to rank, let's just rank the first 5 or 6 teams in the ACC, it'd probably look like this right now. Number 1, obviously Clemson. Number 2, Virginia. Number 3, Wake Forest. Number 4, you get my point? I mean, that league, gosh, there's no branding at the top at all right there. It's not good. So they've got a pretty easy path.
I guess it used to be called Clemsoning, right? Like a loss to Pitt,
Correct.
A loss to Syracuse, games that you should never lose. So if you get past that moment when they should have Clemsoned, maybe it's clear sailing. So let me ask the last question here, and it's about, so if Clemsoning is what you just described, what is Nebraska-ing right now, which is coming into a season with some hype and obviously not worth that hype right now?
I will give you the scientific definition that you're looking for. It's called Dr. Tom retires, you elevate Frank Solich. He competes for championships early, has a slip-up, wins only 9 games, you fire him. Then you start hiring guys like Bill Callahan who take Nebraska tradition, which is Wisconsin, maybe not exactly the same style, but Wisconsin tough guy football, and you trash it. You take it to the Grand Canyon, you shove it off the edge, and now you go to Pretty Boy football, West Coast football, Chuck and Duck football, the black shirts, the proud name, black shirts, Charlie McBride defense, has so far been removed from that program, they might as well played in the 1800s. And you finally get to your guy who's been winning, who played there, won there, Scott Frost, and he comes in there and he runs the same stuff that he did at UCF, which is lots of points if you can do it, not play a lick of defense, and not be able to run the ball and be a tough guy like Nebraska football should be under Bob Devaney and under Dr. Tom. That's the problem. They don't understand the culture. And this guy that played there apparently does not understand the culture. That's
Bill,
the definition.
Bill, we'll leave it there. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it as always. We'll come back. Okay. We'll wrap up the show with a cherry on the top on ESPN Arkansas.
Segment or interview? Check out the Halftime Pod at hitthatline.com.
Hey, this is Ted with Ed Walker's Drive-In. For more than 70 years, Ed Walker's has been the place to go for the best French dips and hand-patted hamburgers in town. Blue Plate Specials served Monday through Friday, and we're still the home of Fort Smith's only 5-pound hamburger. We're open 10 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. Call ahead for pickup, 783-3352. Ed Walker's Drive-In, 1500 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, where the legend lives on.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith, owner of Dixie Digital Imaging, the Xerox authorized agency and dealer in the River Valley. The 29 new models of Xerox business printers and copiers represent a quantum leap forward in office technology. They are designed for the way we work today, safely and securely. They're powered by Xerox Connect Key technology. They're innovative and affordable with both black and white and color devices available. For more information, give Dixie Digital a call at 783-6600 or visit us at dixiedigital.com. Dixie Digital Imaging, bringing Xerox document innovations to the River Valley.
Mentor's Lumber True Value has the lowest prices on the items you use every day. Today, 4 packs of GE LED light bulbs are just $9.99 each. Choose from 5-watt or 8-watt soft white or daylight dimmable bulbs. They are all rated for 15,000 hours of life. Head over to the electrical department for these bargains of the month now, while supplies last. Mentor's Lumber True Value with locations in Alma, Ozark, and Clarksville.
Light bulbs burn out, so it's dark.
Right now, you can save up to $5,000 off on select in-ground pools at Burton Pools and Spas. Hi, Tommy Kraft here. Now is the perfect time to start planning your own backyard oasis for next summer, so you can relax and enjoy the lazy days poolside next year with family and friends. It's the perfect way to unwind after work or do a staycation. And don't make that long trip this next summer. Vacation in your own backyard. Burton Pools and Spas also has luxury spas, grills, and patio furniture that will complete your outdoor living space. So don't wait. Right now is the time. Save up to $5,000 on select in-ground pools, including saltwater models. It's all at Burton Pools and Spas. This special deal is first come, first served. Stop in their store in Fort Smith and in Springdale for all the details. Fall is the perfect time to start working on your in-ground pool with Burton Pools and Spas in Fort Smith and in Springdale, and online at burtonpools.com. Burton Pools and Spas, your source for backyard fun.
What would an extra $250 a month mean to you? For some, it's a little financial breathing room. For others, it's a car payment, a home repair, or help with college tuition. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I've got some great news if you're looking to save money on your mortgage. All it takes is a simple phone call to Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. Folks who refinance with HARP can save an average of $250 a month. That's $3,000 a year. Our home loan experts fully understand the HARP guidelines, and they'll walk you through our streamlined process. And for 5 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
Archery season is underway, and black powder season is just days away. And Jelco Outdoors has all your black powder rifles and supplies to get you ready for your hunt. Brands like CVA, Traditions, and Thompson Center. Stop by Jelco Outdoors, your premier locally owned sporting goods store in the River Valley, for all your fall hunting gear. Shop local. Shop Jelco Outdoors. And remember, a great hunt begins at Jelco Outdoors.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Football's out. Razorbacks have picked it up. We're headed back the other way. Picked up by Cam Curl. He's still got the football. Curl's all the way. He's going to the house. Touchdown, Arkansas.
Ty, get a load of this. The Oakland A's and the Tampa Bay Rays are playing the American League wildcard game. And Oakland, since 2000, and by the way, the year 2000 was the year that they were writing about Moneyball. So that's when the whole analytics revolution really was starting to be implemented by Billy Beane. I was counting here. I got them at 4-5-9. This is the 10th trip to the playoffs in those 19 years, where Oakland plays in arguably the worst park in Major League Baseball, one that has had raw sewage filtering up from underneath through the drains and toilets at times, and are the only. They're also the only team that's got a share with an NFL franchise, well, at least until recently, because the Raiders, of course, are moving to Las Vegas, so this is the last year they share. They have won one single playoff series out of the 9 that they've been there for. That does count an American League wildcard loss last year and an American League wildcard loss in 2014. So, I mean, this is a franchise that is really the poster boys for, and I don't look at Oakland as a small market, but they have to operate like a small market franchise because of the ballpark and the way the ownership operates. Just look across the bay, San Francisco Giants, they don't operate like a small market team, and it's the same market. But the A's do have to work within the constraints that the Giants don't, which is a budget. And you heard my argument yesterday about major league teams and that they all make money no matter who's showing up. So maybe they ought to put more money into this and that. But I think it's difficult to attract great players, already established players, to go play in that stadium. So they've lost 8 of 9 series, or I think it's actually 9 of 10 series because they did win a division series in 2006, but then were defeated in the 2006 American League Championship. So they're there again. They have lost 8 straight winner-takes-all playoff games, and facing the only other team in baseball that could argue they've got a worse ballpark is Tampa Bay, the Juice Dome. It's so bad that they've even floated the idea, and I think half jokingly, of splitting the season between Tampa and Montreal if the city of Montreal could build them a new ballpark. So it's I guess you could call it the quote-unquote poverty game amongst the playoffs with the A's and Rays getting it going. So, great game last night, by the way, if you watch that.
And that's the first – what's the first thing I asked you before we popped on this segment? How'd Scherzer do? Because there's just an apparent evolving idea around him that he delivers in big games. That's all I heard, whether it was Buster Olney, whether it was different baseball analysts from ESPN, Fox, whoever yesterday. Max Scherzer's going to deliver. Max Scherzer's going to deliver. Phil, he didn't play that well last night, according to you.
No, he didn't have very good stuff. I mean, he walks his first batter on 4 pitches and then allows a first pitch home run to Yasmani Grandal and had to fight through 5 innings. Gave up another home run to Eric Thames, the first baseman for the Brewers, and left trailing 3-1. But he did battle through those 5 innings, and it seemed obvious the Nationals were not all that interested in moving into their bullpen. So that's why they had Steven Strasburg ready to go, a starter working as a reliever. And it was Strasburg that kept them in the ballgame and shut down the Brewers' bats and gives the Nats a chance to do what they do. I mean, this is a team, Ty, that I think we brought it up on halftime. They came from behind from, 8 runs down in the 9th inning against the New York Mets. So it's a team that's kind of used to coming from behind, even against a 102-mile-an-hour fastball flamethrower like Josh Hader, who choked on it in the 8th inning, giving up 3 runs and the bases-loaded single by Juan Soto, which was overrun in right field by Michael Taylor, who had been inserted partially because of his ability to play the outfield. That was the killer. And the kickers, the Brewers go down in a heartbreaking defeat, and the Washington Nationals are moving on to take on the L.A. Dodgers. It was a great game, and honestly, it really wasn't a very long game. And 2 hours, 55 minutes, had a snappy pace to it. There were a lot of strikes thrown, and just as exciting as any game I've seen this year.
So before we had Bill on, we were talking about Barnhill Arena and how a lot of my generation is going to experience that venue for the first time. Phil, I don't know if you caught the video that MLB posted combining old highlights and some of these new highlights. I thought that was great. And again,
we play loud. Wasn't that the slogan?
That's correct. And I think a lot of times that there's the old, long-standing ways of how certain sports go. This is how you talk. This is how you act towards teammates, opponents, fans, whoever. But I thought that was a good different way because baseball, as you know what more than I do, has always had these unwritten rules. And I think for it, because you and I know it's lost popularity compared to where it was in terms of where it sets on the national level in terms of basketball, football, and baseball. But I think this is a way, based on that video and based on some of these bright young players, to draw in some of these forgottens, to make it more interesting, to make it less like time consuming, where it's not boring stuff. These kind of not necessarily antics, but this extra flash, extra oomph a little bit, I think is good for the game. I didn't know if you thought the same or if you're completely against that.
No, I'm all for what feels to me like some sort of a revolution in the way that that players operate at times, in which the ability now to be a little more outward with celebrations, that to me was what the "we play loud" is all about. And then there's also the thing that, home runs are loud. I guess strikeouts are loud too. And there's just a little bit more of an effusiveness behind.
Except when Ole Miss does it, right?
Yeah, when Ole Miss does it, it's annoying more than anything else. And to react to one thing that you'd said about the popularity dropping a little bit in baseball, and it's really funny because when you look at the television ratings, like the local TV ratings amongst a lot of the markets, because baseball's become more of a regional/local sport rather than national. It's still played on a national scale, but it's viewed on a regional and local scale. The TV ratings are still there. I mean, people are still watching baseball games on local cable networks. They're just not watching it as much on Fox or on ESPN or whatever national telecast is happening. And I think part of it, this is the first season in Major League history, I believe, where you've had 4 teams that have won 100 games and 4 teams that lost 100 games. And, I mean, you see the TV ratings will be down and the attendance will be down for those teams that stink. And when hope feels like it's lost amongst a fan base, and this is what I got into about the Pirates yesterday, you feel like hope is lost because you've got an owner that makes money no matter what, and they just don't care whether they put a winning product on the field. I think that's how more than the 4 teams that have lost 100 games feel. And so you end up, this is where baseball's got to change. The difference between the haves and the have-nots, or at least those who play to win and those who don't play to win, has got to change a little bit. But you don't have to worry about that in the playoffs, and that's what makes this game tonight so interesting. Because you have 2 teams that have built-in excuses and would make money even if nobody showed up. The Rays will make money, the A's will make money, and that's because of television rights across the country and because of MLB.com making so much money. But they play to win. They try to win. They are great at finding value from players that nobody would have ever thought of. And you know what else I really love about today's game, Ty? And it kind of brings me a little bit to a halftime homework that we got involved in recently. And you remember I let you know about a former bat boy of the Oakland A's. He's throwing out the first pitch today. MC Hammer will be throwing out the first pitch.
How about that?
Of the wild card game at the same stadium that he worked as a bat boy in the 1970s. So maybe that's one reason for you to tune in.
Talking about coming full circle. Yeah, I mean, there's some intriguing matchups, I think, down the stretch, and we referred to them a little bit yesterday. I don't know how intriguing the A's and the Rays are, but when you get a little nitty-gritty, when you get to the ALCS, when you get to the NLCS, and then obviously the World Series, if it times up right, I think there's baseball storylines that can come out of these games. You know that more than I am. Phil, we referred to it a little bit yesterday, but what's the World Series that you want to see? I don't know if I got that answer from you yesterday, so I'm asking it today.
Well, I mean, I really would like to see the Astros and that pitching staff and the young fun club that the Atlanta Braves have put together. So I think I'm looking at Braves versus Astros. I think that's a realistic pick, and that's the one I'd like to see too.
Is there television? What's more intriguing to television? I think market-wise, it's obviously New York versus L.A., but could the potential of we brought this up yesterday, and I don't remember who told us the answer, but the 64 rematch between the Cardinals and the Yankees, do you think that could even transcend an L.A.-New York matchup, or is that just the end-all, be-all, New York-L.A.?
Well, New York, L.A. is just, I guess it's too easy to market. It brings both coasts, onto the television, and the brand names and the bandwagon fans that might hook on at the same time. It's probably what the TV executives would like to see. But I'll tell you, there's something about that Atlanta club. There's an excitement about them. There's a youthful exuberance about them. And I think that would be just as much of a fun series. The TV execs think one way, and it never really does work out that way.
So, Phil, which ball club are you and which ball club I'm guessing I'm the Braves because I'm young and exuberant. Which ball club are you? Are you the steady Astros, I guess? I don't. Which comparison are you? We only got about 20 seconds if you had to label yourself.
I'm not sure
something.
Which one I would be. I think I'd like to be the Tampa Bay Rays, the one that's in a crappy ballpark that's figured out a way to work it out anyway. And that's why I'm going with the Rays today, also because of Charlie Morton. I think Charlie Morton will get them the win. All right, that's your halftime for a Wednesday. Have yourself a great rest of the day. For Ty, I'm Phil. Get up, get out, and get better.
Every day, vegetables are ripped from the earth, sliced, diced,